mighty a-hole for my reaction after my fiancé sent our wedding invitations without my consent. I, male 30, met my now fiancé, female 28, 3 years ago. She was previously engaged to her late fiancé, passed away 3 weeks before the wedding unexpectedly. He had a good relationship with her family, and they bring him up from time to time, but not much. Surprisingly, I know nothing about this guy. My fiancé never talks about him for some reason, although I always encourage her to remember good happy moments. She'd go radio silent whenever her family mentioned him. Anyways, we didn't have any issues until my fiancé and I started planning for our wedding. She suggested a specific date, and I had several reasons to not agree. One of them is that my mom is recovering from a major surgery, and since she's my remaining family, I want her there with me. My fiancé kept insisting and refused to compromise. I took a few days to calm down so we can discuss this again. But I was surprised when Justin, my brother-in-law, contacted me saying his sister's been sending out invitations with the date she picked, and almost everyone in her family received one. He then told me the reason his sister insisted on this specific date is because this was the exact date she and her late fiancé were going to get married, but it didn't happen. I was stunned. That was a messed up discovery. What's worse is that her entire family knows and none of them mentioned it. Yep, even more messed up. I never knew about that, although we had plenty of heart-to-heart together. I was upset. I confronted her. She defended herself, saying she didn't think it'd matter if I knew this is the date when she and her late fiancé were getting married. I said it matters to me, and she shouldn't send out invitations without even telling me. Told her to fix it since it's her family who got the invitations. But she said I was being unreasonable, that she too gets a say as much as I do, that she already went ahead and made reservations on that date. I argued that I was backing out of wedding planning since she keeps insisting on that specific date. I ended up sending everyone who received an invitation an email stating that the wedding is officially postponed. I didn't give the real reason why, but I did apologize. She let everyone know, and everyone except Justin has been criticizing my stance, calling me ridiculous and inconsiderate to postpone for a pathetic reason like that. Some even claimed I was being a goddamn groomzilla for not just going with the flow. It didn't feel right. I kept thinking about how our wedding anniversary will be a constant reminder for my fiancé about her late fiancé for years to come if I give in and agree on this date. I subconsciously hated it. Now for the top comments. I'm sorry, but that is pretty low on her part. She isn't seeing you or marrying you. She is marrying a ghost. Run, you are not Dayhall. Not Dayhall. Cancel the wedding. She's simply awful. And don't make it about the fact that it's her wedding date with her ex. Simply repeat to anyone who asks that she disregarded your wishes to pick a date your mother could attend and sent out the invitations anyway. You don't get to treat someone like that. She doesn't deserve a life partner at this stage. Not Dayhall, and the wedding needs to be cancelled, not just postponed. Never marry someone who sends out wedding invitations without clearing it with you first, especially when you had already specifically told her that the date was a no. Not Dayhall. Would not proceed with this marriage without premarital counseling. There's nothing wrong with counseling at that stage, but clearly your fiancé is still grieving and having an open issues is no way to start a marriage. Honestly, if the date means that much to her, I suggest you push it back a year. Your mom matters to you. Not Dayhall. I don't think I'd go through with this marriage. This sounds like she's pushing for some personal agenda. Either way, she blatantly disregarded your opinion and thoughts on your wedding. You know, the thing that you should be doing together? Major red flag. Not Dayhall. It sounds like your fiancé hasn't grieved properly for her dead fiancé and isn't ready to move on. She's using you as a fill-in. Postpone getting married until she gets some much-needed therapy. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to be a stepmother to my fiancé's children? Before I met my fiancé, Cam, he and Monica had 2 children, aged 2 and 4 now. They were already broken up when the youngest child was conceived. One last hookup got them pregnant again. Monica remarried very quickly to Alan, and they tried to have Cam's parental rights terminated so that Alan could adopt the kids. Monica's parents and Alan's parents, who are both wealthy, all joined forces on this. They were not able to get Cam's parental rights terminated, but Cam was not able to get much custody. He got the standard every other weekend and 2 weeks in summer, but they have all done anything they can to interfere with his custody time, so he's gotten a lot less than that. Cam and I have been together for 2 years, but I've only met his kids a handful of times. I have an extremely demanding career that's very important to me, and weekends are the only time I have for myself. Cam knows that with my career, I don't have time or energy for parenting. I was happy to be another caring adult figure in his kids' lives, like a cousin or aunt role, but I can't be another parent. Cam asked me to marry him and said he understood that I'd never have to take that role. Yes, here and there, if he really needed a helping hand occasionally, that was fine, but neither of us ever planned for him to rely on me for childcare regularly. Monica and Alan got in an accident where both were drunk. Monica died instantly and Alan was severely injured. Alan has been in rehab and Cam has had the kids. Since then, all 4 of those grandparents basically dropped off the face of the earth. They show no desire to have anything to do with the kids or help whatsoever. We also haven't been getting any calls from Alan even as he heals. I have been helping Cam to the best of my ability, and what's crystal clear is that I can't do this. All of my reasons for not wanting to be a parent turned out to be extremely true. I have been helping him because of course I have, but I can't do it forever. I have been telling Cam that we need to call off the wedding because I can't be a parent. I will help him get his feet under him, but I cannot be a parent and commit to it for life. Cam has not accepted this whatsoever. Half the time, he spends guilt-tripping me about how these kids need me and even encouraging the 2-year-old to call me mommy, which I think is horrible of Cam to do. The other half the time, he spends sobbing and begging me about how he can't lose me, how he'll figure it out. He'll find help so that I don't need to be in a parent role. I don't see how that would possibly work, and I told him we need to break up and he could find someone that wanted to be a parent. Now, my entire family is attacking me and calling me heartless and telling me we can work it out. I asked them if they thought it was okay if I married him but didn't take a parent role. They said of course not. I should just suck it up and be a parent. I was going to say you're the a-hole until I saw that you were asking to call off the wedding, which is the right thing to do. And you should have never agreed to marry a man with young children if you weren't interested in being a parent. So I guess not the a-hole since you're calling off the wedding. But seriously, OP, please don't date other men with children. Yes, this was just unexpected because all 4 of those grandparents literally spent tens of thousands of dollars to get his custody taken away. Every indication would be if something happened to Monica, they would all fight for grandparents' rights in custody, not fall off the face of the earth. But now that this situation has become very real, I won't make the same mistake again. You are not an a-hole for leaving him. You are an a-hole for staying with a man who has kids for 2 years and thinking you can be child-free. They are a package deal, no matter how little he asked them. As you learned, things can change in an instant. Not the a-hole. Though a little everyone sucks here, the kids aren't optional, and you were both dreaming to think that this would ever work that way. But you are not the a-hole for figuring it out and stepping away. You're right to walk away. I agree walking away would be the right choice. Opie says she's been with partner for 2 years, and the child of the last hurrah with ex-wife is 2 years old. She indicates ex-wife moved on very fast, but clearly partner did too. The whole family sounds like a lot of complex and unstable relationships surrounding the kids, and her not wanting kids is not likely to do favors for anyone involved. Yes, Cam and I have actually known each other for many years, so we did move fast, but we've also known each other a really long time. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my father's wives into my life? So, my father has always been manipulative and horrible to me and my mom. I will not go into detail because the post would get removed. When I was 10, he left us for a mistress of many years, and my mom completely broke down. Finding out that she had sacrificed all her dreams for this bastard just broke her. The result is a sense of denial. She cannot accept that he is a bad person, and 15 years later still loves him. My dad sometimes used it to manipulate her financially. Even though we do not have a traditional mom-daughter relationship, we are good friends. My mom is now a very supportive and a good person who is very close to both me, my husband, and my in-laws, and I am grateful to have this family now. But to go back, since Dad left, I said I would never agree to meet his mistress. My mom got the sole custody, and though my dad tried to force me, I just refused to communicate with his wife. He only got me twice a month for an evening out, movies, so it is not like I was spending weekends at their place causing drama. My father got kicked out by her a couple of years later and promptly found another woman. Married her weeks after meeting her. Smart guy. I didn't go to the wedding, and the lady is extremely abrasive. I have met her once, and she refused to shake my hand and was generally very rude. From her Facebook posts, which my father shares, she's a very insufferable extremist with whom I do not want to associate. Here I might really be the a-hole. Now it is my father who keeps trying to have a relationship. I would have gone no contact if he didn't keep trying, because when in the past, I let him get closer to me. It hurt me or my mom again. He does seem to have grown a lot, and completely changed his lifestyle, and really wants to make amends. Now I am almost 9 months pregnant with mine and hubby's first kid. It is also my father's first grandchild. He has been calling and trying to fix things ever since he found out. The last time he called, he talked about grandma and grandpa with his wife, and I told him no. I will be okay in letting him have limited contact with the baby, but I will not let his new wife be grandma. My mom and my mother-in-law will be grandmas. He lost it and screamed at me that I have caused his previous marriage to fail because I would not accept his wife, that I'm again trying to ruin his life. I told him I will not risk damaging relationships when for the first time in my life I have a functioning supportive family. That I was never his priority, and therefore he is not my priority over people who actually care. So, am I the a-hole for refusing to allow my father's wives into my life? Not the a-hole. I have to wonder how much he's changed if he's currently blaming his failed marriage on you. Good question, but from how things were, he actually has. He stopped being a workaholic and a borderline alcoholic. He is much less aggressive now, etc. It used to be bad. When I was 6, I said that I'm afraid of 3 things: vampires, monsters, and daddy. OP, not being so bad doesn't mean that it's good. Not the a-hole. People do not change. They just get better at hiding who they really are. Oh, I love this quote. Thank you. Not the a-hole. It sounds like you already know this, but here for reinforcement. You're absolutely in the right to keep anyone you feel is toxic away from your child. And bad taste in who you marry and trying to drag them into your daughter's life against their will definitely counts as toxic. I think you are safer staying no contact. I was seriously getting some doubts, especially seeing the amount of blended families and people who get along with their parents' new partners. Thanks, I needed this. The last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not wanting my boyfriend's little sister to use every single one of my things? For context, my fiancé and I have moved into his mom's house to help save for our new home at his mother's request. He has a 7-year-old sister, and we are both mid-20s. Our room does not have a lock, and I keep all my things in our room because there isn't any more space in the shared bathroom. It started with using my phone for TikTok or whatever. In the beginning, I did not care, but I realized she was going through my messages, emails, social accounts, pictures, documents, etc. for whatever reason. She ended up deleting and rearranging a whole bunch of apps on my home screen, and that was the final straw, so she's no longer allowed on my phone anymore. I have an iPad that I used to do my work on, and she has been bombarding me asking if she can use it, and I've told her many times she cannot. She has complained to my fiancé and her mom about the situation, and while they don't say anything to me, I can tell they want me to let her use it so she shuts up about it. Before I moved in with them, I was doing nails out of my home and brought my things so I could continue doing press-ons, as well as my own and my mother-in-law's nails from time to time. I told his little sister not to touch any of my professional nail stuff for obvious reasons, and that if she ever wanted her nails done, I would paint them myself. I have since walked in on her going through my nail supplies and using my polishes. Gel polish that you need to cure, which she does not cure because she doesn't know how it works. She is also making us think about me putting acrylics on her year-old, but I said no. 1, because of her age, and 2, because I'm not going to perform an entire nail service on a person who is not paying for my work, let alone fully appreciate it. If that sounds harsh, I don't even care because acrylics are a process. Now it's everything else. Jewelry, makeup, skincare, she goes through my clothes. She moves my things around even if she's not moving or using things. She's opening drawers and going through my belongings. I come home after work to go to bed, and she's in my bed watching while eating snacks when there's a TV in the living room and her mom's room. When I come into my room after a shower to change, she walks right in. When I am in my room wanting some time to myself, she comes in and sits there and won't be quiet. I'm losing my mind. I'm trying to be stern without crossing the boundary of disciplining someone else's child, but I really can't handle it. Nothing bothers me more than someone using my things without asking or just invading my space in general. My fiancé won't help me set boundaries. He doesn't care if she's in the room when he changes, and she doesn't care for any of his things. I just want to know if I'm being irrational, or if I have every reason to take my stuff and go. Thanks. Not day haul. If a lock isn't approved by your mother-in-law, I'd suggest at least getting a big safety lock box to put your nail equipment and valuables into. Your boyfriend not addressing this problem is definitely a concern though, so I think his lack of support towards protecting your personal belongings and valuables needs to be addressed as well. I agree. He doesn't see a problem with his sister's behavior? Red flag. Also, he isn't being your advocate like he should be. There are definitely several conversations that need to be had before you even begin to discuss wedding dates. Not day haul. You need a lock on the door and some kind of lockable space for your supplies. It's not unreasonable at all to want your privacy or your stuff to be left alone. You need the fiancé to pull his finger out and help you set your boundaries. Looking into locks as we speak. Thank you. Yes, a lock isn't just a temporary solution. If you plan to marry this guy, you need to talk to him, and he needs to do something. For Pete's sake, he's not having any care for you and your stuff.
Am I the a-hole for switching to regular milk to prove my lactose-intolerant roommate keeps stealing from me? Me and 2 other guys share an apartment together, and we split all the bills. The only thing we don't split costs on is groceries. Everyone's in charge of buying their own food, and we don't touch whatever doesn't belong to us in the fridge. We put our names on everything, so no one gets mixed up. This issue has been going on for almost a year, and I'm sick of it. One of my roommates, Ray, keeps stealing my food. I get home from work and containers with my leftovers are sometimes missing. They have my name written on them, or my stuff finishes too quickly. My gallon of milk, for example. I buy almond milk because I like the taste, but it seems to run out after a week, even though I've only had it once or twice. I've confronted Ray about this lots of times, and it's caused a lot of arguments. He outright denies it and tells me I'm crazy, even though it's so obvious. My other roommate and I carpool together because we both work the same early morning shifts around the same area, so I know it's not him. It's always after we get back home and Ray's already left for work that I notice my food's gone. My roommates had a similar problem, but not as often as I do. I'm guessing it's because Ray doesn't like what he buys. The funny thing is, Ray buys a lot for himself and is even more stingy about his food. He will literally point out what's his when he comes back from grocery shopping and tell us not to touch it. Last week, my milk was nearly empty again, and I got fed up. I went to the liquor store and bought regular dairy milk. I drank what was left of my almond milk and refilled the gallon with the one I bought. This was to catch and prove Ray is the one stealing since he's lactose intolerant. The next day, Saturday, we get back from work and Ray is pissed. He yelled at me that he was stuck in the bathroom for 40 minutes with diarrhea because of my milk. He was using it to make a shake. I only responded with, "So then you're the one who's been stealing?" He freaking exploded. Yeah, he admitted he was sometimes drinking my milk and eating my food, but he was more mad that I switched milks than the fact that he was caught. I told him I wouldn't have done that if he'd just stopped taking my stuff from the fridge, or at least told the truth instead of trying to make it seem like I was making it up. Our other roommate backed me up and thought it was kind of funny he got payback for stealing from us. It's a little tense right now, and my roommate told me Ray is trying to convince him to agree to kick me out. Little does he know, we're both looking to move somewhere else together because we are sick of his crap. I told some buddies what happened, and a few think I was an a-hole for that. I feel like I'm not in the wrong here. He was taking my food and not even owning up to it, and I wanted to prove it. Does that make me the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. As you said, if Ray wasn't stealing your food, he wouldn't have had a problem. How dare you make me face the consequences of my own actions? Imagine a thief is used to burglarizing a home because all he had to do is punt the chihuahua to break in. And suddenly, one day it gets replaced with a Rottweiler and the thief then complains to the homeowners how dare they get a new flesh-tearing dog. Basically, his roommate. Not the a-hole. It's your food. You could have put your medicine in it, or even your pet's medication in it. You could have put a laxative in it, or even syrup of ipecac, and I would still say not the a-hole. When people steal food, lie about it, and don't replace it, they reap what they sow. Food is expensive, especially milk substitutes. Without replacing the food, he was essentially stealing money from your wallet. Oh yeah, it really is. I try to buy from grocery stores that sell all organic, so it does get pretty expensive. Not the a-hole. You can tell him you could have done something much worse like peeing in the milk, or putting vinegar in it. Instead, he went a somewhat more mature way by buying real dairy milk. I was gonna drink that milk too, so better it wasn't pee or vinegar lol. Not the a-hole. I read a story where something similar occurred. OP liked spicy food, and food thief ate it, then reported OP to HR for trying to poison him. Eventually, OP got fired after HR agreed with food thief. OP got a lawyer and story came out that HR and food thief were in a relationship. Company owner fired both offenders and hired OP back with increased pay. Dude sucks for stealing your food, and I would have done the same thing. Damn, that's wild. Damn, now I wish we could switch scenarios so I can get paid more instead of being stuck with him as a roommate. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not lending my sister-in-law money after she got the house that was supposed to be shared? Okay, so this has been eating at me, and I need outside opinions before I lose my mind. A few months ago, my late grandparents' house was finally handed over. For years, we were always told, literally by my grandma herself, that the house would go to all of us, as in shared between me, my siblings, and even my sister-in-law, my brother's wife. You know, family home vibes? So I never made any plans of my own when it came to housing. I thought I'd eventually live there, or at least have a stake. Well, turns out the will had one name, just one. My sister-in-law. Not even my brother, her. My mom says it's because she helped take care of my grandparents during their last years, which is true, but so did I, just less visibly. I don't want to sound petty, but it felt like getting kicked in the teeth. No heads up. No, hey, by the way, the house is hers now. Just silence, then surprise. Fast forward to now, my sister-in-law asked if I could lend her money for home repairs. Like fixing the roof or plumbing, I don't even remember. I just said, sorry, I can't right now. Which is true, but also, yeah, I don't want to help fund a house that was basically yanked out from under me. Now some family members are acting like I'm being dramatic or holding a grudge. Maybe I am, but wouldn't anyone feel weird about this? I didn't yell, I didn't make a scene, I just politely said no. So, am I the a-hole for keeping my wallet shut? It wasn't your house when your grandma was alive, and now you know it isn't going to be even a small part of your house anymore. It means now you need to save money for your own. Not the a-hole. Yeah, you're right. I think deep down I was still clinging to the idea that it would be our family home like my grandma always said. But I guess that chapter's closed now, and you're right. It's probably time I focus on building something for myself instead of holding on to what could have been. Thanks for the reality check. Not the a-hole. In what world do siblings have to help fund home repairs? It's not something that I have ever seen. She's acting very entitled to even ask, regardless of how she got the house. Sister-in-law gets the house, which means your brother does too, but all the other relatives expect you to put up the money? Yeah, I get how weird it sounds, but that's literally what happened. The title is under her name only, not even my brother's. And now that stuff needs fixing, people are saying I should help because it's still family property. Like, how is it ours again now that money is involved? It just felt like I got cut out when it mattered most. So yeah, I'm not super motivated to help out financially. No hard feelings, just boundaries. My stepmom, I was like 30 when they got married. I was all set as far as mothers go. Pulled something similar after my dad died. After the funeral, we found out she got the house, which, fair enough. I didn't expect his will to make her homeless. But then within weeks, she says she needs help with the mortgage and repairs, and some appliances that need replacing or some stuff. Coincidentally, I had just gotten a $5,000 life insurance check, which was the full extent of my inheritance. There shouldn't have been a mortgage. They drained their equity dry and pissed it away on vacations and luxury cars, while I was and am barely treading water, and she still had the gall to cry pauper. Sounds like your dad gave her the house so she couldn't escape the home equity loans they took out. I'd be wondering if she's the one who took them out, and this was his revenge. But we don't have enough information to say one way or the other. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to hang out with my husband's friend as a couple after his wife was a bridezilla and yelled at me? My husband was a groomsman in a wedding a little under 2 years ago. He was very close with the groom, but unfortunately, their friendship started falling off shortly after the groom started dating his now wife because she's socially abrasive and has to be right in conversation, as if everything were a debate. She once yelled at my husband to get out when he walked into their house to use the restroom. He had the groom's permission while visiting. It ended up being an uncomfortable visit in the garage. Cue the wedding. The bride called me on our way to the venue. The bridal party was asked to arrive 2 hours early and asked me to pick up a sign-in book since it was overlooked. I was happy to help. My husband and I, one other wife, a friend of the groom, and a few other groomsmen were chatting during some idle time when I heard the bride screaming at the top of her lungs that anyone not in the bridal party is not allowed to be in that part of the venue until the wedding begins. Being one of the 3 guests there, one of 2 with spouses in the bridal party, I was very embarrassed. There were no signs, no instructions, the valet never notified us, and security never informed us of this rule. I immediately wanted to leave and offered to pick my husband up when it was over. My husband was upset and said he would leave if they found it acceptable to treat me like that. But I told him to stay and chalked it up to her being stressed. I ended up sitting in my car for over an hour with the other wife and didn't feel fully comfortable for the rest of the night. We've seen very little of them since the wedding. They had a gender reveal and we didn't attend because my mom had just died a few days prior, and I was still an absolute mess. They were angry we didn't go and used it as an opportunity to talk badly about us. Since then, I've only seen her briefly in social settings where I try my best to keep my distance. The groom has been begging my husband and me to go boating with them, but I really don't want to be stuck on a boat with her for hours. My husband keeps bringing it up, and I keep reminding him that being around her makes me feel sick to my stomach. I tell him to go by himself, but he refuses. Every week for the past month, he's brought up offers to go boating, and every week I refuse to entertain the idea. My husband seems bothered by having to turn down what should be a fun time, but understands that it wouldn't actually be fun. I feel like I may be the a-hole because my husband and the groom were very close, and now that he's married to a woman I don't feel comfortable around, I am becoming the factor that keeps them apart. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your husband is looking for you to keep his friend's wife company. Suggest to hubby that maybe they should just make it a man's trip for just them two. I do like this idea, but his wife is very much him against doing anything without her. She has to be there or it doesn't happen. Then he's going to learn the hard way that if he lets her treat his friends poorly, all he'll have left is her, which is a classic abuser tactic. I would tell your husband to keep inviting the groom to hang out, just the 2 of them, but you have no interest in spending time with someone so abusive, but that the both of you will always be there for him if he needs you. Not the a-hole, and it's time to tell hubby he needs to stop asking you. You shouldn't have to keep telling him no and reminding him how much you don't want to be around her. His buddy's inability to stand up to his wife and tell her he's having a hangout with his buddy without her isn't your problem. Hubby can go alone or not at all, but he needs to stop bringing it up to you. Those who are saying weddings are stressful and you should give her one more chance are ignoring her horrific behavior at the gender reveal. You had just lost your mother, and instead of offering deepest sympathy, she got mad at you and bad-mouthed you to friends when you didn't attend. That's a-hole behavior. She's shown her character, and you don't need to spend time with someone so incredibly awful. Your husband needs to back off. And it wasn't just the wedding. She was known to be abrasive to OP before the wedding, and has repeatedly exhibited this behavior. OP's husband needs to stand up for his wife. OP is not into being around them. He either needs to tell them what's up and say he finds how his wife treated OP was abhorrent, or he needs to just shut it down and say we are not going to be that kind of friend anymore. But stop putting it to OP as a choice. Last story. Am I the a-hole for saying we should just put my wife's grandma in a nursing home? My 33 wife's 32 grandma 79 is an absolute chaos machine. She is the most manipulative person I've ever met. Everything has to be about her. And if it's not, like say a kid's birthday or my wife's other grandma's freaking funeral, she makes it about her. She threw an absolute screaming fit because we weren't thankful enough for our daughter's birthday present. Our daughter got tons of presents. We thanked everyone, but she wanted a complete show of how grateful we were that she got our daughter a $15 doll from Walmart. We were happy about it. Our daughter wanted it and played with it. We said thank you, but she was still upset that her doll wasn't the star of the show and that we didn't make a big spectacle over it. She does this about everything. She wasn't invited to a pool party that didn't even have anyone she would know, and she threw a fit. She made my wife's cousin's wife cry, got kicked out, and threw a whole tantrum over that. She didn't get invited on my wife's parents' vacation, literally just the two of them. And she called everyone in the family crying about it. She has pissed off everyone. She does this kind of crap to everyone. She made a waitress cry and complains about the food everywhere she goes. The food is fine. It's her. It's embarrassing as heck. When she was in the hospital, we had to take turns sitting with her because she would otherwise refuse medication and then act like the nurses weren't giving her her meds. The family sent "I'm sorry" pizzas and cupcakes for every shift that had to deal with her. She has done so much crap that absolutely no one wants to deal with her at all. However, my wife's family believes she is their responsibility, and so they take turns caring for her instead of putting her in a home. No one is happy about it, but they just deal with it and try to placate her. Honestly, she's probably going to outlive us all out of spite. Recently, we had a family meeting to decide how to continue dealing with her because she's just getting more violent and abusive. I suggested we put her in a home and be done with it. She is not out of her mind. She is fully cognitively fine. She's just an awful person, and now she's old and can get away with more or cry elderly abuse. Apparently, my suggestion was awful and she is our responsibility. My wife agreed with me, and a few of her cousins did as well, but my wife's dad and his siblings, not any of their spouses because they hate her and the feeling is mutual, were upset about the idea of putting their mom in a home. I mean, it's not like they couldn't visit. I'm tired of dealing with her. I'm tired of my wife dealing with her and coming home upset. I'm tired of hearing about her BS. I'm pretty sure the woman is possessed. She is spiteful, hateful, and manipulative. The only people she is nice to are the children, because they are easy to manipulate. Am I the a-hole for telling them to just put her in a home? Edit. She does not have dementia. She has been awful her whole life. She managed to get 4 men to marry her, and every one of them divorced and ran. She even lost custody of her kids, and back then, a mother straight up losing custody was nuts. 2 of her 7 kids won't even acknowledge her as their mother. Then you just opt out of taking turns taking care of her. Skip your turn forever. You are no longer participating in her care. Period. It is not up for debate or discussion. If others want to sign up to wrangle the chaos, that is their choice. And drop that dang rope. Not your monkey, not your circus. If they try to guilt stuff, shut it down. You made your choice, they made their choice. Not the a-hole. She's a grandmother. Let her children decide what to do. Either the children take care of her or they put her in a home. Don't allow your wife to be pressured into taking on her care. Agreed, the wife's father and his siblings should make all of the decisions about this woman. In no way should the next generation, the grandchildren, OP's wife, shoulder any responsibility about her future care.